Today, we've got a different kind of in conversation, as I was saying, and you will see on the screen with me, I'm joined by a very good friend of mine and a work colleague, Steve van Rooyen, who is the founder and MD of a company called Digidorx. Great to have you here, Steve, and great to be able to chat to you today. Before we get into the interview and before I start chatting to you, just to give you an idea of what this is about, our live stream in conversation that we do on Milk and Sugar is really talking to our clients. This version that we're recording on Zoom is about chatting to buddies in the business, if you will. And I haven't come up with a snappy title yet for this in conversation section. And what we'll do is put this out to you. If you come up with a great name that we can call these kind of conversations where I'm chatting to people that I've either worked with or currently work with, then what we will do at Milk and Sugar is give you a free half-hour consultation on how you can use video and remote content and live streaming during lockdown and even post-lockdown right here. So I'll be able to give that to you. Let's get into the interview. Steve's been sitting there very patiently waiting for me to let him speak. So, hey, Steve, great to have you on in conversation with us this afternoon or today.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me, James. I do appreciate it. Exciting series. Like you said, we're the first one. I hope it grows in leaps and bounds for Milk and Sugar. And I'm excited to see what kind of cool and funky names the guys can come up with to win that free consultation with you.
Listen, the first one is always the best. Just remember that. It's the first one that everybody will remember.
Yeah, always.
So first and foremost, Steve, tell us, for those who don't know you, who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, so as you previously mentioned, my name's Steven van Rooyen. I am currently running my own digital marketing business called Digidorx. I am currently I'm 28 years old. So yeah, I would say I've had the past 5 or 6 years have been digital marketing agency experience where I've worked at a number of digital agencies, doing different things from community management, so just managing brands' Facebook pages, to preparing content, to where I eventually ended up, which was a paid media lead role at my previous agency, where I looked after a number of brands' paid media activities, particularly on digital marketing. So what does that mean? My mom always says to me, I don't know what paid media is. So for me, that is Facebook, primarily Twitter, LinkedIn, Google advertising. So Google is broken up in display, search, and YouTube. So brands will come to me and say, well, I want to advertise on these platforms, and I'll just put the strategy together for them and just how we can meet their marketing objectives. So that's pretty much where I am now. I started my own business where we specialize in digital marketing as a whole.
Cool. You almost answered all of the questions that I was going to ask you in one go there, but that's great. Let's break some of this down a little bit. You've got a lot of agency experience. I don't want to talk about your previous agencies, but we will take it as read that you have worked extensively in agencies as you've described. What made you decide to start your own business?
I think I've always had an entrepreneurial mindset. I was fortunate enough to study BCom marketing at UJ, and obviously all 3 years, one of the subjects you study is business studies. So I really enjoyed that aspect. I really had a good time at the previous agencies I worked at and learned a lot. But I really just wanted to dive into being my own boss, being an entrepreneur in particular. I really enjoy that. I know a lot of people, they speak about your risk appetite and all that, and I had a risk appetite for being my own boss and trying to start. I still remember I ended up resigning and my old agency, and the old MD there is really great, and he almost now has become a mentor to me, and he still said to me, but Steve, do you have clients and stuff like that? So I said, no, not yet. Like, I'm taking this as we go. So for me, it was about that. I just really wanted to give it a bash. I had a supportive wife we'd saved up some money. We'd saved up 6 months of expenses for me to be able to not make any income. Luckily, we've been blessed, and I haven't even touched that money, and it's still sitting in an investment account for us. But yeah, it was just for me. My wife actually made me take the final plunge. She just said to me, what are we waiting for? Let's just do it. You're still young. We don't have any kids or any serious commitments at this stage. So she's like, just do it. You've had your years of experience at agencies. Go and try to do your own thing. And if it doesn't work, then can just go back into the agency life.
How did you secure your very first client?
Yeah, so my very first official client, it's amazing. I think my agency journey that I learned, and I got a lot of experience, I also built a lot of relationships along the way. So two of my first clients, the one was actually my old paid media lead at one of my first agencies, and then another one, she was an account manager at the agency. So as soon as we were just chatting and they heard that I was going to do my own thing, they both reached out and said, hey, can you help me with X, Y, and Z? And since then, those accounts have grown in leaps and bounds. It's been amazing. We kind of just, everything fell into place at the right time. And then now it's a bit more difficult to find clients, but again, it's about the relationships. As an example, James MILK+SUGAR, he knows someone that needs digital marketing, and then they just refer me. And then from there, I try to upsell myself from that perspective. So it has got a lot more difficult, but in the beginning, I was fortunate. It was about relationships. And I firmly believe it's not always about what you know, it's who you know. And it proved to me in that way that it's the extent of your network does really help in business.
How critical is it at this stage in lockdown to still be doing what you're doing if you're a company who engages in paid media campaigns?
Yeah, I think it's imperative at this stage. We had a lot of my clients at the beginning of lockdown, we got in touch, and I think that's most important, just to highlight on the relationship thing, is just to have those open comms with clients at all times. I know WhatsApp and business aren't always the best idea, but to be WhatsApping each other, giving each other your thoughts and ideas, so the client can be like, hey, I can bounce my ideas off Steve, so that we can understand that the business will be okay after lockdown. What can we do? How can we ramp down the spend? We don't have to be going at 100%. Can we go at 40% and still get the KPIs? And just to go on the other part of the question, part two, I would say it's super important at this stage to be on digital marketing. Before lockdown, a lot of our clients were getting amazing results, but right now it's the only real channel. And I was looking at a Kantar report just this morning, and as an example, Facebook usage has increased by 53% since lockdown started. So if you look at your more traditional advertising, for example, billboards or radio, people aren't going in their cars as much. They're not seeing your billboard and they're not listening to the radio as much. So at this stage, digital marketing and paid media just helps you reach your intended target market where they're at. You know what I mean? So that's where a lot of brands have pushed pause. I know a lot of the big brands have said we don't want to advertise during lockdown, which is understandable as well, because you don't want to be seen as a brand taking advantage of the lockdown, or as an example, just not being authentic during this time. You know, a lot of consumers are taking strain. They might not make an income at the end of the month, and now there's a brand bombarding messaging at you. So it really is a tough space to be in. But I think if the brand's authentic and just showing a message of, hey, we care, this is what we're doing for our staff, this is how we can help you during lockdown. The team at FNB has done it extremely well. They've obviously providing businesses with certain loans, they're providing the consumer with certain relief during this time. And it's important to portray that message. You know, if they're looking for people to swap from another bank, that could be a deciding factor. So you should use digital marketing in these times just to get your message across. But again, just be as authentic as possible, because there's a lot of people are taking strain. So the brands don't want to just come in and bombard them, but how can we get that authentic message across?
Is that kind of key in terms of your way of dealing with your clients and being able to offer them that strategic insight of saying, hey, you know, be authentic, don't worry about the hard sell just now?
Yeah, definitely. One of the main objectives for my business is to be seen as the trusted advisor in this space. So it's not just, it's difficult because we sometimes put the blinkers on and we feel that, hey, I've been in marketing for just 6 years and I know how everything works. And if you do X, Y, and Z, we'll get the result of A, B, C. But it's not always that case. So I like to, in everything I do, I like to underpin it by data. So as an example, a client says to me, oh, but I really want to do this. Can we try it? Sure, no problem. Let's try it with a little bit of budget. Let's see what the results are. And then we can go back and say, listen, 100 people saw this and only 2 people clicked like or engage, whatever it may be. But that for me is the most important in strategy. So I'll put together strategy, put my strategic thoughts, have brainstorming sessions with my clients. But I love to underpin it with some sort of metric or KPI so that we can go back and say, guys, we said this would be the result. This is what actually happened. So yeah, I love that. That part of the business is amazing. And a lot of businesses these days are struggling between what is a business objective and what is a marketing objective. To give you an example, all businesses, their objective is to make a profit or to make as much revenue as possible. But how do we then turn that into a digital marketing objective? As an example, let's just say we're using an online course. So the digital marketing objective would be to get as many people to click through to the website and sign up as a lead for that course. And then as it goes through the sales funnel, the sales team will try and convert that user. But then the end business goal will be increased revenue because I get more students to sign up for the course. So yeah, it's definitely just that advising clients to be like, yeah, I understand that's what your business needs, but just to bring it down granularly to a digital marketing objective and help them from there, and then try our best as the Digidorx team to get those digital marketing objectives.
So one of the questions that somebody who is listening to this may be asking themselves is, why should I go with a Digidorx rather than one of the big digital agencies that are out there? So for me, the most obvious thing would be, well, if you're a small and medium-sized enterprise, perhaps going with those big agencies, you're not going to have the budgets because they're quite expensive to go with. So let's discount that one, that you are more affordable, because I know that having worked with you. So I'm going to sell that as a point for you myself, is that you are incredibly affordable. But why would somebody go with Digidorx as opposed to another big agency?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, James, and I get it more often than not. But for me, it's just around the relationship again. I know we mentioned it earlier. It's when I deal, most of my clients, I do have campaign managers that work for me, but most of my clients, I try to do the account management, relationship, and the commercial agreements with them. In that way, I do understand, especially in these times, clients are struggling, their budgets are shrinking, but they still need to get those same marketing goals that they set out in the beginning of the year. So it's much easier for me. I do have an office, but it is a small office. So my overheads are a lot less than the big agency. So it makes it a bit easier for me to decrease those prices. And I love being an SME myself. I love the SME model. I love what it does for the economy. So I understand if I can help a few small guys, get them, I read a post the other day when it's like, when you support an SME, you're helping a father or mother pay for someone's ballet lessons versus, like a big corporate that's actually just funded in London and they're getting their goals. So for me, it's about that. I love working with SMEs. So I try to make my pricing as attractive as possible to them. And yeah, sometimes we do only work on a percentage of ad spend just so that we can say to them, listen, the more you spend, the more I make. And how that works for me is if I get you results for a small budget, then hopefully in the future we can turn it into a big budget. So my budget makes more revenue. So it's more about that for me. It's about how I can help the SME, charge a little bit less, and get them the results. And from a service perspective, I understand the big agencies, they do have big teams, but I then try where possible as well, still whatever service or whatever results they can get you, I try to get it, but just on a small scale. They obviously do have access to Google easier and Facebook easier, but luckily through my years of working at some big agencies myself, I've made those relationships and I still be in contact with those reps. So yeah, I think that's, for me, it's just about building those relationships and trying to keep the price reasonable for SME markets.
Cool. So this has been quite a serious interview. I want to go into a quick fire round where I ask you some quick questions where I don't want you to think about the answers. I want you to just say the first thing that comes into your head, just so that people get a sense of who you are. Like I know who you are, a fun guy with a great sense of humor. What's your favorite food?
Has to be pizza. I'm missing that the most during lockdown. Try to make it myself, but it doesn't beat a nice thin-based pizza.
I couldn't agree with you more there, man. Rugby or football?
I would say football.
Who's your favorite team? Better be Arsenal. No, who's your favorite team?
Yeah, no, I do support Arsenal. But yeah, I tweeted the other day and said it's been great. It's been a couple of weeks now that Arsenal hasn't lost, so I've been loving it.
Yeah. Local team? Do you support a local football team?
No, I did support Kaizer Chiefs at one stage, but I haven't been keeping up with the team. And my rule is if you can't name more than half the team, then you're not a supporter. So
well, that's also true. But I was going to say, how could we be friends? I'm a Pirate supporter all the way. So I'm glad that you're not supporting Chiefs right now. After lockdown's over, your first place that you want to go to?
Definitely most probably the Spruit. I love mountain biking, so I've really been missing that. So I just really want to get on my bike again and just that clears my head. So yeah, mountain biking in general.
Last holiday destination before we went into lockdown?
Sure, I just went to my Bilingue game reserve. It was actually the weekend before lockdown. So yeah, it was amazing planning on behalf of my wife. So yeah, that was my last holiday destination.
Steve, it's been great chatting to you. How do people get hold of you if they want a consultation, which I presume that's how it starts, you first discuss with them, but how can they get in touch with you? Perhaps you can give us your email address or the best way to get in touch with you.
Yeah, so you can either visit my website, which is just www.digidorx.co.za, or you can pop me an email, which is just steve@digidorx.co.za as well. And yeah, I'm also willing, if any client gets in touch with this video, I'm willing to give them 30-minute free consultation on any of their digital marketing needs. That may be that I do an audit on what someone's currently doing, or just helping. You might be doing your media yourself, and it's always just good to have a second eye to see how we can refine those audiences or just get better results for you.
Yeah, and just a personal plug from my side, I've been working with Steve for the last couple of months, and let me tell you, it is well worth it. He knows what he's talking about. He's helped me with some of the clients that I work with, and I highly recommend you get in touch with him. Steve, as I said, it's been great chatting to you. This has been a version of In Conversation with, as we said at the top of this video, if you come up with a great name for the series, and just a quick plug on what the series is about, I'll be chatting to people with whom I work either in a professional capacity or whom I know personally or who I've had dealings with over the years. It's about supporting other small SMEs and small businesses, helping them keep going during this period of lockdown and post-lockdown, and also because they offer great services, and I truly believe in them. So if you can come up with a great name for this series, which is currently In Conversation with, then I will give you a free consultation on how best you can use video, how you can create content remotely. You can either use us or alternatively do it yourself. I'll tell you how to do all of that, and also possibly talk about how you can use live streaming to continue to reach out to your clients, your customers, your staff, whoever it is that you need to speak to. Steve, it's been great chatting to you. Have yourself a great day. Survive lockdown. I hope it goes well. Continue to get good business, and we'll chat soon.
Cool. Thanks so much, James. Cheers.